Well, I think for myself personally, it's very therapeutic to make things, to be creative and to design and make things. So there's a personal satisfaction.
Couldn't stand the technical stuff anymore, so I want to do something different.
So my name's Val Price, and I'm a social worker in my full-time job, but I'm an artist in my part-time work.
My name's Rick Wortney. I'm a millwright at Pactiv. Been there about 24 years. Before that, I was still a maintenance mechanic on previous jobs, and I've been doing that most of my life. So I started off in the real workforce. I was a fitting mechanic at Florsheim Shoes. Then I became a maintenance supervisor at Sunburst Fashions, and I've been in maintenance most of my life.
Well, I studied art in high school and was influenced by my grandmothers, who were both quilters in Nova Scotia. My mother also owned and operated a quilting store, and I've always been interested in building things, whether it's with fabric or glass, and then I very much invested in looking at woodworking. At first I was building furniture and pieces of different things for the home, but I became interested more in decorative art and for gardens, because I really like gardening and a lot of my friends did, so I began carving and making garden pieces.
My first passion was just graphite drawing, just like drawing. Then I got into acrylic painting. That was cool, but I find acrylics dry too fast. I'm trying to advance into oil painting.
Made me a painting, actually. He made a portrait of myself as this sort of ultra hippie version of me, kind of.
I find art to be very therapeutic, and it's something that is very hands-on and tactile, and it's just in terms of networking and meeting other artists and being inspired by their work. It's absolutely something that gives me a lot of pleasure, and I love connecting and being social and talking to other people about the work that they do as well. Really like gardening, and a lot of my friends did, so I began carving and making garden structures, things like birdhouses and works of art that could be either in someone's garden or in their home, but a lot of them tend to look like stump houses or birdhouses that are built out of reclaimed materials. So we try to use pallet wood and various things that we find at thrift stores or Habitat for Humanity.
I've been fascinated with art since I was a little kid. You know, when I was a kid, I used to watch Bob Ross all the time. I love the way he put in those. Just when you think the painting's done, he always added more, and the painting got more and more spectacular. He's always adding a tree and stuff like that. He inspired me, though I don't paint like Bob Ross, but he was an inspiration to me.
I've always loved making things. Ever since I was a kid, I used to make Barbie doll clothes with scraps of fabric and did a lot of sewing.
She would actually make my Halloween costumes. She didn't like buying them at first, but I think I remember one of the best costumes she ever made me was Snow White.
Then I got very interested in woodworking, and my mother and I took woodworking classes for many years and have built dressers and furniture.
I remember one of the first things my mom ever did for me is I always was fascinated with castles, I remember. And she took that quite literally, in fact, and she designed my bedroom to look like a castle, actually, strangely enough.
Rick and I have created quite a few pieces that we've sold that were commission pieces, where someone is not even sure what it is that they want, and I help to sketch and to draw various ideas of what they're trying to connect to, maybe from their childhood or for as a gift for someone, and then we attempt to create that for them. And it's very satisfying to have the end product shown to somebody, and they're blown away and very thankful and are very excited about the piece.
I like doing art for myself and what I do with Val. That brings us together. I love working that way, but the wood carving and the birdhouse building, that's a me and Val thing. And my painting, that's my thing.
With the two of us coming together, it had a lot to do with art. I was inspired by the portraiture that I saw him doing, and actually this picture behind me is something that Rick created, and it was very moving to have someone create a portrait of myself.
I always feel that whenever they work, it's not just for making money or making a benefit for themselves. I think at heart, it's about love, really, and about sort of the relationship and how it grows. I've seen them work together, and they argue sometimes, but they argue because they say, let's figure out how we can work this out together. And I like it when people have that relationship where they don't hate each other, they respect and they admire each other for their work.
Yeah, if he's able to tolerate her, that's fine by me.
Sometimes we literally almost finish each other's sentences, and we often are thinking the same thing, and as one or the other of us talks about that, we go, oh my goodness, we were very much on the same page with the same line of thinking, and that's a really lovely gift to find in your best friend.
Well, this should be our retirement. You got to do something when you're retiring, instead of just sitting around, and I really enjoy this. If I had a choice right now, I would quit my job and just do this, but economics, there's no way I could do that right now. But yeah, in the future, I figure it's just going to be art, building stuff. That's what we're going to be doing.
It's not an easy thing to collaborate on a project, whether it's a filmmaking project or an art project, and it takes a lot of cooperation, communication, and we, I think, have a vision of the work we're trying to do, and we also just enjoy that. It's an inspiration for us.